One thing I love about the stories you hear each week on the show is that every brand starts with a story. Behind every product is the founder who took a chance on an idea, overcame challenges, and worked hard to bring it to life. Walmart is making it easier for customers to discover products from small brands and support the people behind them. With thousands of small brands available through Walmart, customers can discover innovative products while learning about the entrepreneurs and stories that brought them to life. By helping connect these brands with communities across the country, Walmart is creating more opportunities for founders to grow and share what makes their products unique. Visit walmart.com to learn more.
And away we go, episode 1359 of the Al Galdi podcast. It is Wednesday, July 1st, 2026. It is day one of free agency in the NHL's 2026 offseason. Free agency in this NHL offseason begins on Wednesday at 12 p.m. Eastern. And this is the first full day of free agency in the NBA's 2026 offseason. Free agency in this NBA offseason began on Tuesday at 6 p.m. Eastern with the start of the negotiating period, the period during which NBA teams can begin negotiating with external free agents. And then it is this Monday, July 6th at 12:01 p.m. Eastern that NBA teams may begin officially signing external free agents. And it now is not looking like the Washington Wizards will trade Anthony Davis this offseason. We over Sunday night through Monday afternoon had reports of the Golden State Warriors being interested in Davis and/or Davis wanting a trade if he doesn't get a mega money contract extension from the Wizards. Well, NBA insider Mark J. Spears of ESPN's Anscape, he on Tuesday afternoon in a post on X, quote, "The Washington Wizards are not interested in trading 10-time NBA All-Star forward Anthony Davis and are not listening to trade offers for him," a source told ESPN Anscape. Another NBA team exec says Wizards GM Will Dawkins is a huge fan of AD, end quote. Now, the reporting had been that the Warriors wanted to trade for Davis and sign LeBron James as an unrestricted free agent. Well, LeBron is in fact leaving the Los Angeles Lakers. So that news broke on Tuesday afternoon. Which team will be his next team? We don't know. But guess what? Our Wizards have come up as a dark horse in the LeBron sweepstakes. NBA insider Brandon Scoop B. Robinson of ScoopB.com. He on Tuesday afternoon in a post on X reiterated something that he wrote in May, quote, "The Washington Wizards are quietly positioning themselves as a compelling wild card in the sweepstakes for LeBron James," end quote. Now, to be clear, there is no other major/significant reporting of the Wizards being a major contender for LeBron. And honestly, as a Wizards fan, I don't want LeBron. I want our team sticking to its process and continuing to develop key young players. I don't want LeBron in what would be his age 42 season hijacking our team. But wouldn't it be something? 25 years after Michael Jordan in 2001 came out of retirement to play for the Wizards, LeBron James signing with the Wizards. So here was ESPN NBA insider Shams Charania on ESPN SportsCenter with anchor Malika Andrews on Tuesday afternoon.
All right, so LeBron James, he won a championship with the Los Angeles Lakers in 2020, but he is going to be moving on. The question, Shams, they really only begin now. We've seen LeBron make huge decisions before. What's the timeline for when we can expect to know more about his new team, and do we know the teams that he is eyeing?
It's unclear, Malika, what the timeline will be for LeBron James. Right now, he's spending time in the Ohio area, spending time with his family. He's going to make a decision on his own time, but there's no question all of the NBA's contending teams are in the picture here for LeBron James. We'll call Rich Paul, we'll call LeBron James to express interest as soon as free agency opens up at 6 p.m. Eastern time tonight. But out of all the contenders around the league, teams expect the Warriors, the Cleveland Cavaliers, the Miami Heat, all to emerge as among some of the suitors for LeBron James. Of course, you never know who could come out of the woodworks, who else could come aboard and pitch LeBron James on a vision to join a team and compete and be happy in his 24th NBA season. As I've been reporting for the last 24 hours, the Golden State Warriors had formed a grand plan going into this offseason to try to form a duo of LeBron James and Anthony Davis to join Stephen Curry and Draymond Green. And Draymond Green opting out of his $27.7 million player option gave the Warriors the flexibility and the wherewithal to go out and pursue both avenues. And so the Warriors will be working on that going into tonight's free agency.
All right. Now, working against our Wizards getting LeBron James is that he does want to win another NBA title. NBA insider Chris Haynes of the NBA on Prime and the Association on NBA TV, he on Tuesday evening in a post on X, quote, sources, LeBron James will be patient and open-minded in selecting his next destination, but the priority is having a realistic chance at competing for a championship. He remains committed to playing at the highest level, end quote. The Wizards are better, but do they next season have, quote, a realistic chance at competing for a championship, end quote? Probably not. But, the Wizards are coming up with all kinds of guys. NBA insiders Mark Stein and Jake Fisher of the Stein Line on Substack, they early Tuesday morning had this, quote, league sources tell the Stein Line that Washington has a level of interest in Russell Westbrook, end quote. Russell Westbrook. He is an unrestricted free agent. Next season will be his age 38 season. And, of course, he was with the Wizards previously, played for the Wizards in the 2020-2021 season. Their last playoff season, Westbrook, for that regular season, averaged a triple-double and totaled 38 triple-doubles, setting a franchise record for triple-doubles in a regular season and setting a franchise record for career regular season triple-doubles. Westbrook, for the 2020-2021 regular season, was number one among all qualified players in the NBA in assists per game at 11.74, a single season Washington Bullets / Washington Wizards record, and the most for a player in an NBA regular season since John Stockton of the Utah Jazz averaged 12.33 assists per game in the 1994-1995 regular season. Russell Westbrook, in his lone season for our team, put on a show, but that was 5 years ago now. Hello and welcome to this Wednesday installment of the Al Galdi podcast. Next segment, a conversation with NFL draft analyst Justin Melo of SI.com on why the Washington Commanders pulled off a steal in getting Penn State running back Kaytron Allen in the 6th round of the 2026 NFL Draft. Justin is very high on Kaytron Allen, the man known as Fat Man. You'll hear why, and we'll also get analysis from Justin on two other Washington players, running back Jacory Croskey-Merritt and tight end Chig Okonkwo. Justin has good insight on those guys. And also on the show, I'll talk Washington Nationals and Baltimore Orioles. The Nats had quite the win on Tuesday night, an 8-1 win at the Boston Red Sox. Nats starting pitcher Cade Cavalli was excellent. He allowed one run, which was unearned in 7 innings with 13 strikeouts versus no walks. And we, in this game, had a benches and bullpens clearing incident involving Cavalli. I'll explain. The O's, they have reached a new low point in MLB's 2026 regular season. 9 games below 500, a 9-3 loss to the Chicago White Sox at Oriole Park at Camden Yards on Tuesday evening. The O's now are 39-48 with a run differential of -38. Their season has become a disaster. You can hit me up on X at Al Galdi. You can email me, the Al Galdi podcast at yahoo.com. You can reach me via writing a review of the podcast on Apple Podcasts. You can write about whatever you want, and I'll read what you write if you give the podcast a 5-star rating as we march toward 2,000 ratings of the podcast. But what we want are 5-star ratings. They help out the podcast a lot, and we thank you very much. Email from Corey Casey with a theory for why San Francisco 49ers receiver Brandon Aiyuk is disgruntled with the team and is on this quest to join our team, the Washington Commanders, for whom, by the way, we now have further confirmation of at least previous interest in Aiyuk. Commanders insider Nikki Javala of The Athletic, she in a mailbag piece that came out on Tuesday morning wrote the following, quote, "Here's what I can tell you. I know that earlier in the offseason, the Commanders were interested in him to the extent that they would consider a 1-year highly incentivized deal if and when the San Francisco 49ers ever release him." Jaden Daniels is obviously close with the 28-year-old receiver, and general manager Adam Peters was part of San Francisco's front office when it drafted Aiyuk in 2020. So they know what Aiyuk was at his peak. The Commanders Commanders were not going to trade for him, though. The thinking was that if Aiyuk played anywhere close to the level he did a few years ago, then the Commanders would have two excellent receivers in him and Terry McLaurin with depth and speed behind them. If things went south with Aiyuk, the Commanders could get out at no real cost. But this was before the erratic Instagram rants that have created worry about Aiyuk's frame of mind. What was once a seemingly minimal risk option now appears more concerning, end quote. So, per Nikki, yes, Washington, at least prior to the Brandon Aiyuk social media campaign of June 2026, had interest in signing him as an unrestricted free agent if he was released by the Niners, but did not want to trade for him. So writes Corey. Hi, Al. Longtime listener. Love the show. Thanks for the great content that you provide. I know that you get a ton of emails, so jumping straight into it. I did some digging into the Aiyuk contract situation from 2024 to try to contextualize why he might be so mad at the team, not excusing/justifying his behavior, of course, and I found some really interesting tidbits. In the spring of 2024, Amon-Ra St. Brown signed his contract in April, a 4-year, $120.01 million contract extension, $30.002 million AAV, $77 million guaranteed. This is important because here's what Aiyuk ended up signing in August 2024, later that summer after his holdout. A 4-year, $120 million extension, a $30 million AAV, $76 million guaranteed. Look at those two deals. The 49ers forced him to take slightly less than Amon-Ra St. Brown took in total value and $1 million less in guaranteed money. Even worse, the Niners were majorly lowballing Aiyuk all summer with a 4-year, $26 million per year contract. You know how contracts work. When one player of equal talent signs, that becomes the floor for the next player, and players take pride in getting the next highest contract. The 49ers insisted on Aiyuk agreeing to a contract that contractually made him lesser of a player than St. Brown. And to contextualize all of this in stats, the 49ers were coming off a trip to the Super Bowl, and in that 2023 season, both players had virtually identical stats, yet St. Brown had 164 targets versus Aiyuk's 104 targets. One additional note, Aiyuk received $45 million fully guaranteed at signing versus St. Brown's $34.66 million. I still don't think that that's enough to offset a lower monetary value overall and the lowballing approach from the outset, not to a guy like Aiyuk. I say all of this not to defend Aiyuk's antics, but after hearing all week that his Super Bowl targets were the reason for his discontent, I decided to look at the actual contract saga itself to try to contextualize the situation. It appears the 49ers took a big gamble, lowballing Aiyuk on his contract and then forcing him to take slightly less than St. Brown, which really does feel petty, and that might have been what actually sparked the beginning of the end. Thanks for reading, Corey. Thank you for the email, Corey. Interesting analysis. The Niners are known to be tough negotiators and are known to take their time with contract extension talks. And it is entirely possible that the team being this way with Brandon Aiyuk set him off. But, you know, he did ultimately get paid. And then he willingly forfeited tens of millions of dollars via no longer reporting to the team in his recovery from the torn ACL and torn MCL and his right knee suffered in October 2024. His contract extension saga with the Niners in the spring and summer of 2024 was quite the saga, worse than the contract extension saga of Washington receiver Terry McLaurin in the spring and summer of 2025. Remember, Aiyuk during his saga was openly flirting with Washington, was openly courting Washington to trade for him. McLaurin never did anything like that. But the point is that there was this prolonged saga. Aiyuk got the money, got a big money contract extension. Maybe not every penny that he wanted, but still a big money contract extension. And then he willingly forfeited tens of millions of dollars of the money for which he worked so hard. Niners head coach and former Washington Redskins offensive coordinator Kyle Shanahan, he this past November confirmed that the Niners had voided the 2026 guaranteed money in Aiyuk's contract. That money was believed to be between $20 million and $30 million. I have never felt that Aiyuk's anger toward the Niners is mainly about a lack of targets in Super Bowl 58, the Super Bowl for the 2023 season. I've always felt, and I'm sure that many of you have too, that there are many reasons for Aiyuk being disgruntled with the Niners. For the record, Super Bowl 58, the Niners' 25-22 overtime loss to the Kansas City Chiefs at Allegiant Stadium in Las Vegas, February 11th, 2024. Aiyuk, 3 receptions for 49 yards on 6 targets and playing on 89% of the Niners' offensive snaps. It's not like he was a non-factor in that game. And also in that game, by the way, then Niners kicker and current Washington kicker, Jake Moody, 3 for 3 on field goals, including a 55-yarder early in the second quarter and a 53-yarder late in the fourth quarter. Jake Moody came up big in that Super Bowl, something to keep in mind in this kicker competition for Washington. Drew Stevens, the undrafted free agent out of the University of Iowa, he does appear to have the stronger kicking leg, but he has never kicked in an NFL game. Moody did well for Washington last season and did well in a Super Bowl. How much does that experience matter? 2026 Washington Commanders training camp is coming. Rookies report on July 24th, veterans on July 28th. Football season is coming. If you would like to grow your business or practice, consider advertising on this podcast. We're offering great deals in honor of the coming football season. Podcast advertising is very affordable and works. Put the power of the pod to work for you. Get your message out there to thousands of successful people in the Washington, D.C. area. Grow your business or practice. We'd love to have you on board. Email us to see what we can do for you. The email address is thealgaldypodcast@yahoo.com.
If your business runs on 5 different apps, 12 browser tabs, and 1 spreadsheet that everyone's afraid to touch, it's probably time for Odoo. Odoo is an all-in-one business management software that connects every part of your business into one powerful, easy-to-use platform. So instead of wasting time switching between disconnected systems, your entire business works together in real time. Your team moves faster, your data stays accurate, and you can actually focus on growing your business. Let one unified system run your entire business. From the first opportunity to the final payment, everything works together in one place. Whether you're a small business or managing a large operation, Odoo gives you one flexible platform built to grow with you. Learn more at odoo.com. That's ODOO.com.
So the Washington Commanders currently have the following running backs: Jacory Croskey-Merritt, Rachaad White, Jerome Ford, Jeremy McNichols, Kaytron Allen, and Robert Henry Jr. The 2 rookies are Allen and Henry. Washington took Allen in the 6th round of the 2026 NFL Draft out of Penn State. Henry is an undrafted free agent out of UTSA, the University of Texas at San Antonio. Kaytron Allen, the man known as Fat Man. He played college football for 4 seasons, all for Penn State, 2022 through 2025. He has the following rankings in Penn State football history. Number 1 in combined regular season and postseason rushing yards, 4,180. Number 1 in combined regular season and postseason rushing attempts, 769. Number 3 in combined regular season and postseason rushing touchdowns, 39. Number 5 in combined regular season and postseason all-purpose yards, 4,711. And number 9 in combined regular season and postseason 100-yard rushing games, 13. What might Washington have in Kaytron Allen? I am pleased to welcome back to the Al Galdi podcast NFL draft analyst Justin Melo of SI.com. You can read his work at SI.com/NFL/draft. You can follow Justin on X at JustinM_NFL. Justin is high, very high on Washington having taken Kaytron Allen in the 6th round of the 2026 NFL Draft. Justin has written about this over multiple recent SI.com pieces. May 12th, headline quote, biggest NFL draft steal in each round and why teams will regret passing fast, end quote. May 18th, headline quote, sleeper NFL draft picks after round 3 and why they could be stars, end quote. May 27th, headline quote, 5 6th-round NFL draft steals that will make teams look foolish, end quote. June 8th, headline quote, 5 overlooked NFL draft rookies suddenly demanding attention at OTAs, end quote. Justin, in each of those pieces, highlighted Kaytron Allen. Wrote Justin in that May 12th piece, quote, Kaytron Allen left Penn State as the program's all-time rushing leader, 4,180 yards after concluding his college career with consecutive 1,000-yard seasons. Allen is a powerful and productive runner with NFL-caliber size and vision. The Washington Commanders have a crowded running back room, but it lacks high-end talent. Rachaad White, Jeremy McNichols, Bill Croskey-Merritt, and Jerome Ford are all jockeying for position on the depth chart and snaps. One of them will probably get cut this offseason to make room for the rookie runner, end quote. Hey, Justin, how are you?
Appreciate you for having me on, Al. Certainly excited about that pick, for the Commanders and Kaytron Allen. I'll be monitoring closely, his progress at OTAs, training camp. I think he's got an opportunity to get himself into that competition there that the Commanders are going to have at running back this offseason.
Why are you high on Kaytron Allen?
Couple of reasons. First of all, 4,180 rushing yards at Penn State, all-time program record for a decorated program, right? I think that's getting lost in the shuffle a little bit. This was a very, very productive player at one of the more decorated programs in all of college football. When you watch him run the ball, I see a pro-ready skill set and a pro-ready frame. He's big, he's powerful, he's strong, he's got good instincts, good vision. I think those two traits right there, in all honesty, vision and instincts are two that you probably can't teach at the next level, and they're very, very important. I've seen a lot of athletic running backs in my day with no vision and no instincts, and they go nowhere. And I think in Kaytron Allen's case, he's patient, he waits, he presses at the line of scrimmage, and he just runs the football with a lot of character, if you will. So I think the skill set translates really, really quickly. And then I look at that Commanders running back room and I go, it might be more quantity than quality, in all honesty. I mean, they say goodbye to Chris Rodriguez. They make a couple of changes there. Of course, Croskey-Merritt entering his sophomore year is probably the guy who goes into camp thinking he's going to win that job. They bring in Rachaad White. I think it was a 1-year contract, if I'm remembering correctly. Underrated guy. I think, kind of got lost in the shuffle there in Tampa as his partner sort of emerged as the lead guy and Bucky Irving and just some talent down there in Tampa. So he heads to Washington. He's probably going to play a big role. They bring in Jerome Ford as well on a rookie deal. All honesty, on a 1-year deal, I meant to say. I don't think Jerome Ford makes that roster. And I think that might surprise some Commanders fans, but it starts becoming a numbers game, right? Rachaad White, Croskey-Merritt, Jeremy McNichols is back, Kaytron Allen. That's a crowded room. So I don't know that Jerome Ford actually makes the team. So then I go, okay, he's competing, Kaytron, fat man, competing with Rachaad White, Jeremy McNichols, Croskey-Merritt. I think there's an opportunity for him to carve out a role in that backfield.
Would you say that it is accurate to say that Kaytron Allen is a high-floor, low-ceiling NFL running back?
Yes, I agree with that. As I was going to get to that part of the evaluation, well, why is he a 6th-round pick, right? I'm not going to sit here and lie to you, right? There's no 6th-round pick who's a perfect prospect, right? Something kind of pushed them down the board for a reason. When I watch him, it's the lack of dynamic ability, the lack of explosiveness, the lack of I could run away from you in the open field. I don't think that's his game. I think he gets what's blocked and not a whole lot more, in all honesty, right? It's sort of the early down, run between the tackles, tough, physical, goal line back, 3rd and short. I think that's probably the role he ends up carving out for himself. Whereas when you look at a Rachaad White or a Bill Croskey-Merritt, they're sort of a bit more, I can create for myself. I can catch passes out of the backfield. I don't think that's ever going to be Kaytron Allen's game. And that's probably what prevents him from being a 3rd-round pick, a 4th-round pick. It's also probably what prevents him from being a true number 1 go-to back. But the beauty of this situation and the way that I wrote the piece is I don't think he has to be. I don't think he's going to be, and I don't think he has to be. This is going to be death by 1,000 paper cuts, I think, in this Commanders backfield. It's going to be a 3-4 man rotation. Rachaad White does something for us. Croskey-Merritt does something for us. Maybe even Jeremy McNichols still does the occasional thing for us. And Kaytron Allen does something for us too. So I really like the environment. I really like the landing spot. When I wrote those articles, I'm really simply just saying, I think he's going to, for a 6th-round pick, I think he's going to carve out a role for himself and be very useful in this Commanders backfield.
I've had multiple people tell me that Kaytron Allen is good in pass protection. Is he a dynamic pass-catching back? No, but he's good in pass pro, so he certainly can play on passing downs. What's your evaluation of him in pass pro?
Well, he's big, he's tough, he's physical, he's rugged, committed, and willing. And I'll tell you what, I think any running backs coach will ever tell you that might be 85% of the battle when it comes to playing in pass pro, right? You've got to want to do it. Now, don't get me wrong, there are backs who are 5'7", 175 that probably can't do it no matter how much they want to, right? Because they're just overwhelmed when they need a linebacker at the point of attack. Kaytron Allen's big, he's physical, he's tough, he can do it, and he possesses the physical traits that give him a chance to do it. So I agree. I don't think there's a lot of upside there as a pass catcher, and they'll probably look to Rachaad White, I think, to do a lot of that. And we know Jeremy McNichols has done quite a bit of that, for them throughout his career. There's kind of extended his shelf life by doing some of that in Washington. But when I look at Kaytron Allen, I think he can do it. He wants to do it. So I think he'll be successful in that area. Now, I don't think he's totally useless as a pass catcher either. Right? I think they could probably get him the ball in a couple spots there, like sort of how, some of those bigger backs, like certainly hate to bring up Derrick Henry's name, but Derrick Henry's one of those bigger backs that isn't great at it, but can do it. And kind of once that locomotive gets going, you could make some plays in that area. I think from a pass catching perspective, it'll be similar for Kaytron Allen. He can protect on 3rd down. Maybe that gets him some reps in those scenarios that you don't initially expect him to get. And maybe they throw him the odd ball here and there.
Jacory Croskey-Merritt is a guy who Washington took in the 7th round of the 2025 NFL Draft out of the University of Arizona, for which he played in just one game in the 2024 season due to an eligibility issue. Had a nice rookie season. He, in playing in all 17 of Washington's games last regular season, had 805 rushing yards, a yards per carry of 4.6, and a rushing success rate of 53.7, ranking number 15 among all qualified players in the NFL per Pro Football Reference. What do you think that Washington has in Croskey-Merritt?
Yeah, I'm excited to watch him as a sophomore. I was a big proponent, sort of big believer in him. We wrote a lot about him, last year when he was coming out. We actually had a scheduled interview. We were excited to do like a big spotlight story on him. Timing didn't work out, but he's been on my radar for a very, very long time. And it seemed like just a crazy story, right? Like if I'm recalling correctly now, didn't play college football at all in his final year. It was like an eligibility issue, but he goes to the East-West Shrine Bowl and he really impresses. I think he won MVP of the Shrine Bowl game, right? Like despite not playing ball all year. So he had this crazy like underdog story and everyone was sort of on him early. And I would say he kind of met those expectations. All those people that were championing him to be a surprise underdog rookie, he met that, right? Like that's exactly what he was for the Commanders last year. I think there were some times where the staff, I think he was still winning the trust of the staff, whether it was technical errors or other situations that they wish he handled a little bit better. Still put together a pretty nice rookie year. I think it could have been even better, but it was a nice year. And I think the runway, again, with Chris Rodriguez no longer here, he's essentially him and Jeremy McNichols are the only backs who are coming back, for this head coach. I know they've got a new offensive coordinator, so it's a bit of a fresh start there. But in terms of earning the trust of the head coach, that's on Rachaad White to do, right? That's on Kaytron Allen to do. You've got to think that gives Croskey-Merritt a leg up, in this running back competition as they head into camp with these 4 guys who are all going to be vying for carry. So I thought he had a good rookie year. I think there's room for growth. And if he gets better as a sophomore the way that he can, then there's a strong chance that he sort of leads this room in carries.
You know the Tennessee Titans really well. Justin wrote a book about the Titans, Titans of the South, Photographs and History of the Tennessee Titans. The biggest free agent acquisition for Washington on offense this offseason was the Commanders in March signing Titans unrestricted free agent tight end Chig Okonkwo, who they took in the 4th round of the 2022 NFL Draft out of the University of Maryland. What would you say that Washington has in Okonkwo?
Yeah, I liked Chig. Compact, undersized pass catcher, sort of a big wide receiver because he's very athletic. You hit the nail on the head. Really good after the catch. Tough assignment for safeties and linebackers in man coverage. He's going to win one-on-one a lot because he's more athletic than the other guy. I think we're the shortcoming in his game and why I think Tennessee was sort of, they had a lot of cap space and they let him walk without even making an offer. He doesn't love hearing it, but he can't block. He just can't, right? He's not going to be a tight end who's going to play in line. He's a big wide receiver, right? So, whereas in Tennessee, they think, and look, he was drafted 3 GMs ago. They've overgone so much turnover there. The new GM now comes in and drafted a guy that they really like who had a good rookie year in Gunnar Helm last year for the Titans, kind of pairing up with Chig. They want to move on to the younger player, and the key is they wanted to pair him with a really good blocker, right? It wasn't like we don't like Chig. They wanted the other tight end to be someone who could block. That's not him. And that's why they went out and they paid Daniel Bellinger, by the way, a very similar contract to what Chig got, whereas Chig has had way more passing down production. Some people will look at that and say, well, what a mistake by the Tennessee Titans. Maybe it'll prove to be. The difference is Daniel Bellinger is really good in line. He knows how to block at the line of scrimmage, and he's doing it for the same offensive coordinator he had in New York and Brian Dable, which is why they went out and got him. When it came to Chig, I don't think it was anything personal. It wasn't, we don't like the passing down production. It was, we want a guy who can block and play in line. That's not his game. Washington's going to need to have someone else do that for them. That caps the ceiling a little bit because you typically end up playing 50 to 60% of snaps, let's say, because we got to bring someone else on the field when we want a tight end who can block. Now, I like it for Washington because I think outside of Terry McLaurin, they've been looking for other guys who could have an impact in the passing game, right? Like, they made the bold Deebo Samuel trade, and they only got 1 year out of that, and now they're moving on. They've got a couple of young guys who haven't quite met expectations, right? McCaffrey. Now they've got another rookie here, and Antonio Williams, and then Traylon Burks, a couple of former Titans, Van Jefferson. They need someone else who could impact the passing game for them and be like a number 2 or 3 option. I think Chig is going to have a great year as a passing down guy. He'll have 500 plus receiving yards. Wouldn't shock me if he reaches 600 plus, but he'll make an impact as a pass catcher. You'll just need someone else to do the dirty work in the trenches.
Interesting offseason regarding Washington and Tennessee. Washington in March signed 2 Titans unrestricted free agents in tight end Chig Okonkwo and receiver Van Jefferson. Tennessee in March signed Washington unrestricted free agent edge defender Jacob Martin. And Tennessee on May 20th announced having hired Washington Senior Vice President of Football Initiatives Dave Gardy as Executive Vice President of Football Operations. A lot happening between the 2 franchises this offseason. NFL draft analyst Justin Melo of SI.com. Justin, thank you. All the best.
Pleasure was all mine, Al. You know where to find me.
All right. Hey, make sure that you check out the BGO Blind Pig podcast, which is the official podcast of BGObsession.com, a terrific Washington Commanders forum. Anyone can join. And BGO Blind Pig essentially is the forum in podcast form, a roundtable discussion about the Washington Commanders. It's like you and a bunch of your buddies who are Washington fans are hanging out and talking about the team. The conversation is smart and fun and respectful. You can find the BGO Blind Pig podcast on YouTube and on any major podcast provider. I was fortunate enough to be on a recent installment of the BGO Blind Pig podcast. Make BGObsession.com the home for your burgundy and gold obsession, and make the BGO Blind Pig podcast part of your Washington Commanders podcast rotation. Well, if Cade Cavalli for the Washington Nationals becomes the ace who he was drafted to be, we may well look back on Tuesday night as a key moment. The Nats took Cade Cavalli with the number 22 overall pick in the 2020 MLB first-year player draft out of the University of Oklahoma. And he on Tuesday night had quite the outing. An 8-1 win at the Boston Red Sox on Tuesday night in Game 2 of a 3-game series. The Nats in MLB's 2026 regular season now are back above 500, 44-43 with a run differential of +9. The Red Sox in this regular season are just 37-47, but with a run differential of +1. But their 5-game winning streak is over. Cade Cavalli, he was the Nats starting pitcher for this game, and he was outstanding. And he pitched through an incident. He allowed 1 run, which was unearned, in 7 innings with 13 strikeouts versus no walks. He gave up just 1 hit, which was a double to the first batter he faced. He threw a lot of strikes, 100 pitches, 73 strikes, just 27 balls. Cade Cavalli became the first Nats pitcher to have at least 7 innings pitched, record at least 10 strikeouts, and allow no more than 1 hit in a regular season game since Max Scherzer on April 14th, 2018. Not since peak Scherzer had we seen a Nats pitcher do what Cavalli did on Tuesday night, and Cavalli continued to pitch well after some drama. So the run that he allowed, Cavalli in the bottom of the first allowed an unearned run on a leadoff opposite field double by Anthony Siegler to the left field corner on an 0-2 pitch and a 2-out fielding error by third baseman Curtis Mead. The double by Siegler turned out to be the only hit by the Red Sox off Cavalli. And then the incident. Cavalli tossed a perfect bottom of the fourth, during which he got the second out via a called strikeout of Wilson Contreras. Cavalli, after the called strike 3, was talking trash to Contreras, talking some smack to Contreras. Then Contreras began talking to Cavalli. Then the two walked toward each other. Then Contreras ran toward Cavalli, and Contreras threw his batting helmet at Cavalli, although the helmet ended up being thrown at Nats first baseman Andres Chaparro. Cavalli and Contreras were separated. No punches were thrown. Nobody got hurt, but benches and bullpens did empty. Ejected in all of this were Contreras, Red Sox outfielder Nate Eaton, and Nats starting pitcher Miles Michaelis. Good for the veteran Michaelis, standing up for his teammate Cade Cavalli. Now look, this was not a brawl, all right? I don't want to over-dramatize what happened. I would not call this a brawl. This was more an incident, although it got nasty. I mean, Contreras throwing that helmet was not a nice gesture at all. That was a nasty thing for Contreras to do. Now, some backstory. Contreras had nearly bumped into Cavalli as the players made their way off the field at the end of the first inning. Also, Contreras in the previous game, the Nats' 6-3 loss at the Red Sox on Monday night in Boston's 4-run first, had a 1-out, 3-run homer over the Green Monster in left field on a 1-2 pitch, and he, in hitting the homer, launched his bat into the air and took his time getting to first base. Now, I had no problem with what Contreras did. I have no problem with guys pimping home runs, okay? I think that kind of thing is actually good for baseball. Add some flair to baseball. But if you're gonna dish it out, you gotta be able to take it, okay? And this whole ordeal seemed to be a function of Contreras not being able to take it. Cavalli struck out Contreras, talked some trash, and Contreras got offended. And the throwing of the helmet was ridiculous and childish and cowardly. I mean, if you're going to fight like a man, okay? Don't fight like a child throwing a batting helmet. Here was Nats manager Blake Butera during his post-game session with reporters on Tuesday night on Cade Cavalli and the incident. And then you'll hear a follow-up exchange between my co-host on the Nats Chat podcast, Nats insider Mark Zuckerman of NatsJournal.com, and Butera. Then you'll hear a follow-up exchange between Nats insider Jessica Camerato of Nationals.com and Butera. And then you'll hear another exchange with Butera.
Yeah, I mean, Cade's ultra competitive. Obviously had a big strikeout there. Contreras, really good player, really good hitter. He got us the home run yesterday, of course. Cade strikeout. I'm sure adrenaline flowing. Probably felt really good about it. I know he said something to him. And yeah, things escalated from there.
Do you take issue with anything that Cade said that may have set Contreras off?
Look, I mean, Cade, heat of the moment, said something. I still need a chance to look at it. But at the end of the day, I know that he's ultra competitive and was pretty fired up after that strikeout because he knows how good of a hitter Contreras is. And like I said, look, he's very competitive and heat of the moment, and unfortunate what happened from there on, but happy with how he pitched after.
How would you have preferred him to handle that exact moment differently?
Look, it's really tough. Heat of the moment, like I said, and Cade is very competitive and wants to win, and got really fired up in the moment.
How do you feel like the team handled the outlay of moment? You mentioned it was unfortunate how it transpired, but was there anything from Miles or anyone else you wish would have been handled differently?
No, look, in that moment, I immediately ran out there to try to get Cade and separate things the best I could. All of his teammates, of course, went out there too to separate him and try to just calm it down the best they could. I know Miles was involved in something on the side. Like I said, I needed to have a chance to watch the video and see what all went down in detail, but they threw Miles out for fighting with one of their players. Like I said, I think that Miles is probably trying to protect himself and others. Miles has been around for a while. He has a pretty good feel of things, and like I said, I haven't had a chance to see all the detail yet, but at the end of the day, glad nobody got hurt, and our teammates were trying to protect each other.
Yeah, and it was really nice to see that. And let's also be fair about this. The incident, as best as we can tell, was set off by Cade Cavalli talking to Wilson Contreras. Now, there is backstory, but Cavalli started the trash talking in that moment. Supposedly said, "Sit down, boy." But, let us not lose sight of Cade Cavalli's pitching, because the number one takeaway from this game, at least for me, isn't the incident. No, the number one takeaway from this game is Cavalli's pitching. He on Tuesday night pitched and persevered like an ace. Cade Cavalli now in this regular season, 18 games, all starts, ERA of 3.69, whip of 1.33, strikeouts per 9 innings of 10.16, and his BABIP allowed, his batting average on balls in play allowed, is 341. League average is around 300. So he's being victimized by bad luck in terms of the variance of the batted ball, and yet he still has the stats that he has. Also for the Nats in this 8-1 win at the Red Sox on Tuesday night, more great offense. 8 runs, 12 hits, which were a home run, 3 doubles, and 8 singles, 5 walks, 5 for 13 with runners in scoring position. The Nats did catch a break in that Red Sox starting pitcher Connolly early tossed 4 scoreless innings with 5 strikeouts, but was pulled from the game due to left elbow discomfort. But still, the Nats offense in this game, really good. The Nats homer was by C.J. Abrams. He is the Nats starting shortstop and number 4 batter, went 1 for 5 with the solo homer. Abrams in the Nats 4-run 8th had a leadoff homer to right field for a 5-1 Nats lead. C.J. Abrams for this regular season now has 18 home runs and an OPS of 866. James Wood, he is the Nats starting DH and number 1 batter, went 3 for 5 with an RBI double, an RBI single, and another single. Wood in the Nats 1-run 5th had a 1-out full count RBI single through the right side of the infield to tie the game at 1. Now, Keibert Ruiz got thrown out in trying to advance from first to third, and he got tagged out while running into third base, standing up. Did not like seeing that. But that RBI single by Wood had a game-best exit velocity of 109 miles per hour per StatCast, and Wood in the Nats 4-run 8th had a 2-out RBI double to the right center field gap for an 8-1 Nats lead. The RBI double had an exit velocity of 107.1 miles per hour per StatCast. James Wood for this regular season now has an OPS of 898. Luis Garcia Jr., the reigning National League Player of the Week, he came off the bench to pinch hit and play first base. He went 1 for 3 with a 2-run double. Garcia in the Nats 3-run 7th had a 2-out opposite field 2-run double off the Green Monster in left field for a 4-1 Nats lead. Luis Garcia Jr. for this regular season now has an OPS of 852. Keibert Ruiz, he is the Nats starting catcher and number 9 batter, went 2 for 3 with a 2-run double, an RBI single, and a walk. Ruiz in the Nats 4-run 8th had a 2-out 2-run double to right field on a 1-2 pitch for a 7-1 Nats lead. Keibert Ruiz for this regular season now has an OPS of 791. And Dylan Cruz, he is a Nats starting right fielder and number 5 batter, went 2 for 5 with 2 singles and a stolen base. So much good stuff from the Nats offense in this game. The Nats relief pitching in this 8-1 win at the Red Sox on Tuesday night was good. 2 Nats relievers combined for 2 scoreless innings. Orlando Revolta tossed a scoreless bottom of the 8th despite beginning that half inning by giving up back-to-back singles. And Zach Kent tossed a scoreless bottom of the 9th. But notable that the struggling Revolta, who had been one of the Nats' best relievers but who had a rough June, was deployed for mop-up duty in this game. Also, some unfortunate news, but not unexpected news. Blake Butera on Tuesday afternoon during a pregame session with reporters said that relief pitcher Mitchell Parker has a grade 3 UCL sprain in his left elbow and does likely need UCL surgery. The Nats on Monday afternoon announced having put Parker on the 15-day injured list due to left elbow inflammation. He was not having a good season, but his season now appears to be done, and he may well be out for most, if not all, of next season. You know, the Nats this season have had incredibly good injury luck in terms of position players, but have had a decent number of injuries with pitchers, especially relief pitchers. Game 3 for the Nats at the Red Sox Wednesday afternoon at 1:35. The Nats have listed Andrew Alvarez as their probable starting pitcher for the game. So Orioles president of baseball operations and general manager Mike Elias did a session with reporters this past Saturday afternoon. He, during that session, said of the O's regarding the 2026 MLB trade deadline, which is on August 3rd at 6 p.m. Eastern, quote, "We're going for it," end quote. The idea being that he was planning on being a buyer and not a seller. The idea being that the O's still are in win-now mode. Well, the O's, since Elias said that, are 0-4, and they now are just 8-15 over their last 23 games, and now are 9 games below 500, the team's most games below 500 in MLB's 2026 regular season. A 9-3 loss to the Chicago White Sox at Oriole Park at Camden Yards on Tuesday evening in Game 2 of a 3-game series. This off the 8-2 loss to the White Sox at Oriole Park at Camden Yards on Monday evening. The O's so far in this series are getting humiliated. They in this regular season now are 39-48 with a run differential of -38. The White Sox in this regular season now are an American League Central best 45-39 with a run differential of +30. The Orioles starting pitcher in this 9-3 loss to the White Sox at Oriole Park at Camden Yards on Tuesday evening was Trey Gibson, and he got ripped. He had a blow-up start. He allowed 8 runs in 2 2/3 innings. He gave up 7 hits, which were 2 home runs, a double, and 4 singles. He issued a whopping 6 walks, did record 5 strikeouts, but all of this added up to him over his mere 2 2/3 innings, throwing 78 pitches, just 41 strikes versus 37 balls. Gibson in the top of the 3rd allowed 7 runs. Trey Gibson now at the major league level in this regular season, 8 games, including 7 starts, ERA of 7.36, whip of 1.91. This guy is getting shellacked. The O's last September 24th named Trey Gibson their top minor league pitcher for the 2025 season. You hope that what's happening with him at the major league level here isn't wrecking him, but this is rough. The Orioles offense in this 9-3 loss to the White Sox at Oriole Park at Camden Yards on Tuesday evening. Not terrible, but certainly not good enough to keep up with what the White Sox did. 3 runs, 9 hits, which were 2 doubles and 7 singles. 3 walks, 3 for 9 with runners in scoring position. Gunnar Henderson is the Orioles starting shortstop, and number 1 batter went 2 for 5 with a double and a single. Samuel Basallo as the Orioles starting catcher, and number 5 batter went 2 for 3 with an RBI single, another single, and a walk. The Orioles relief pitching in this 9-3 loss to the White Sox at Oriole Park at Camden Yards on Tuesday evening was good. 4 Orioles relievers combined to allow 1 run in 6 1/3 innings with 8 strikeouts versus no walks. Josh Walker allowed 1 run in 1 1/3 innings, but Andrew Kittredge tossed a scoreless top of the 5th with 2 swinging strikeouts. Albert Suarez was really good, 3 scoreless innings with 4 strikeouts, and Rico Garcia tossed a perfect top of the ninth. Nice bounce-back game for the bullpen off it in the 8-2 loss to the White Sox at Oriole Park at Camden Yards on Monday evening. Being bad, we in that game had 4 Orioles relievers combining to allow 6 runs, 4 earned in 2 innings. But yeah, the O's on Tuesday evening lost again. They so far in this 3-game series against the White Sox are 0-2 and have been outscored 17-5. And there is a lot of stuff with the O's right now, including O's manager Craig Albernaz having referenced distractions. During Albernaz's post-game press conference on Monday night, had this exchange between O's insider Jacob Calvin-Meyer of the Baltimore Sun and Albernaz.
I know every loss is disappointing, but a couple days ago, you guys were below 500, and Mike Elias comes out and kind of gives a supportive message to this team that he wants to go for it at the deadline. And since you guys have gone 0-3, it's just additionally disappointing just after a few days after Mike's comments.
Yeah, you would think that would hope that eases some pressure if guys are feeling pressure in the clubhouse, but it's one of those things where there's a lot of noise that the players listen to outside, so it's stopping the distractions and feeding you focus. That's the biggest thing for our guys. So hopefully come in tomorrow ready to go.
Okay, so Craig Albernaz during his post-game press conference on Monday night, quote, "There's a lot of noise that the players are listening to outside. It's starving the distractions and feeding your focus. That's the biggest thing for our guys. Hopefully come in tomorrow ready to go," end quote. What exactly did Albernaz mean in saying that his players are listening to noise from the outside? That did not sound good. Albernaz, during his pregame press conference on Tuesday afternoon, said that when he said what he said on Monday night, he was speaking generally and that it falls on him and his coaches to ensure that distractions do not become a problem. But, this entire Orioles season has become a problem. It is remarkable how poorly this Orioles season is going. During the Craig Albernaz postgame press conference on Tuesday night, had this exchange between Jacob Calvin-Meyer and Albernaz. Then you'll hear another exchange, and then you'll hear another exchange between Meyer and Albernaz.
What does this team need to do tomorrow to get out of this slide?
Yeah, they're going to come up and be ready to compete and play hard and take the opportunity in front of us. Tomorrow is a big game. Like, you just don't know, just to get back on the right side of the win-loss column, get back in the win column, and also if you don't know how the season's going to shake out, tiebreaker game tomorrow, with the White Sox, they're in it. So for us, we got to go out here and compete. That's the biggest thing. And our guys showed some of that tonight, but also they didn't as well. Like, it's tough the guys had good at-bats, but we just couldn't score more runs than the other team.
Do you still have TBA is listed for your starter tomorrow?
TBD.
Given the way that you guys have played recently, what gives you confidence or belief that not just you guys can come out tomorrow and play 9 innings of good baseball, but that you can do that consistently enough over the next 3 months to put yourself back in contention?
Yeah. I think the latter, what you said, there's 3 months left. I think it's when you play every day and you're not playing your best baseball, it seems like a daunting task. And that's why you have to take each day at a time and attack each day. Go out there, compete, be prepared. Because when you look up, you don't know what's going to happen. And the easiest thing to do is to throw in a towel and concede. And that's something that our guys don't have. In that clubhouse, they're fighting, competing every single day. And we just need to string together to some good innings of baseball. We've shown that we can do it. And now it's actually going out there and doing it consistently.
All right, Game 3 for the O's against the White Sox at Oriole Park at Camden Yards, Wednesday afternoon at 12:35. And as we heard, the Orioles starting pitcher is to be announced. And that'll do it for you and me for now, but there's more to come. Thursday's show, episode 1360, will provide you with more on the Washington Commanders. Also on Thursday's show, I'll talk Washington Nationals and Baltimore Orioles. The Nats are at the Boston Red Sox Wednesday afternoon at 1:35 for Game 3 of a 3-game series. The O's are home to the Chicago White Sox Wednesday afternoon at 12:35 for Game 3 of a 3-game series. Have a great rest of your Wednesday, and I'll talk to you on Thursday.
Out of all the contenders around the league, teams expect the Warriors, the Cleveland Cavaliers, the Miami Heat, all to emerge as among some of the suitors for LeBron James. Of course, you never know who could come out of the woodworks, who else could come aboard and pitch LeBron James on a vision to join a team and compete and be happy in his 24th NBA season.